Hello everybody, it's Heard the Snout here, and I just wanted to give a quick video on my thoughts of the Shadowlands expansion so far. I've done every launch since Cataclysm, Cataclysms, because I started playing in Wrath, and then, so every launch since Cataclysm. So first off, let's talk about the launch itself. Oh my god, that actually went probably the most smooth a launch that we could ever have, unless you were playing on. I know some of the more popular servers, Illidan and Area 52, a couple other. I don't know what the EU big ones were, but I think they were all having problems loading in and crashing, and some of the world server issues there. But as a small server of Azure we actually did. It was smooth, especially compared when you compare it to those things like getting stuck in the Draenor garrisons, and I still remember even Miss Pandaria getting stuck on my helicopter for about 5-10 minutes. So launch, crispest, smoothest launch we could possibly have. Great job on that one, Blizzard. Kudos. Let's talk about group content. Obviously, group content, which has always been the strong point of World of Warcraft, has been amazing so far. I haven't yet, since this is earlier in the week, so I haven't stepped into Castle Nathria yet. But from what I'm seeing through streams and what I'm hearing is the raid, it's a little hard, but it's actually pretty good. I think it has to do, and I think that difficulty level has to do with the gear acquisition being much slowed down. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But the difficulty has been stepped up. Maybe on the lower end, it's probably a little too hard from like casual scrub guilds and stuff, and where I raid. Maybe a little hard. We'll see when I step in. I'll give my thoughts on that afterwards. I'll probably do a post-mortem on the raid afterwards. But Mythic Plus has been amazing. I'm happy with it. There's a couple. I think there's a couple issues that could be addressed. And I'll talk about that. It has to do with gear more so than anything. Boss fights they all seem well thought out. A lot of cool mechanics. A lot of interesting stuff to do throughout there. I also, just an FYI, I sat out all of BFA Mythic Plus seasons. Just wasn't having fun with BFA, but Legion, I did a lot in Legion. So solo content. Solo content is, and that's where I actually was really concerned going in to this expansion, because I wasn't sure about like how I felt about the Covenant system, and that seemed a lot of people had a lot of trepidation about it, including me, on like how they were going to handle the Covenant, especially when you deal with some balance issues. There might be still some outliers, but for the most part, if things they're doing a really good job. They've done a really good job balancing, at least from a hunter's perspective. Yeah, Night Fae still pretty high, pretty bonkers, but they fixed the issue where it was double dipping in mastery, and that's where I was kind of concerned going into this expansion, is how are they going to handle that when you start having unequal covenant abilities. But so far so good. We'll see how that progresses going forward. The time gaining stuff kind of sucks, but to be honest with you, there's not a whole lot. It seems like there's not a whole lot of power gains tied behind that, which they did a really good job of moving your power stuff earlier and lower in the tier, which kind of sucks from a progression standpoint. But on the other hand, it doesn't make it so when you're behind, you don't keep falling further and further behind. Also, when you talk about stuff like Torghast is fun. I say that solo because I've done it solo. I've done it in a group once or twice, and unorganized pub groups can be scary because that stuff scales with group size, especially as you start climbing the keys. So it's a lot easier going. For me, it's a lot easier doing it solo. That, and I kind of like the challenge of being able, can I do it solo in low gear? The only thing I don't like about the Torghast stuff, and maybe later I will when it's a chore, is that it seems like once you get to level 3, it's I win. Level 3, you get your broker, you buy your 4 or 5 animal powers, and I win. Until you get to the boss, and then some bosses are and either bosses are killable or not. So low. That's the only adjustments that I can see there. Now to talk about the stuff that's kind of I have trepidation about this expansion. So the covenant system and how that kind of interlines, and can they keep the balance issues? So example, like it just came out. There's very few Necrolords, so how can you buff the Necrolords? I guess it doesn't have. Maybe nothing has to be done even too. Maybe the system is fine the way it is, but going forward, I'd like to see something there. The biggest issue I have is, and I understand why they're doing it. The drip feed of gear. I think that's the most cautious thing with this expansion. This expansion is very set up for gear stacking, class stacking, that type of thing to be the absolute most efficient way of gearing. So especially with Mythic Pluses, which is going to be my focus this expansion. Sorry, my chickens are outside the window. But I think something needs to be done in that aspect to help with the gear progression there. Whether it be some kind of token system implemented later, some kind of way of upgrading your Mythic Plus gear later, so you're not stuck doing 10 runs and not getting a piece, not getting any piece of gear, which has happened unfortunately. I know the Great Vault helps that, but similar to kind of like a PvP system where PvP is allowing you to upgrade your gear by doing more PvP. So maybe that's something that could be set to improve the gearing system, make it a little more efficient to be doing. And I know it's a very, very fine line of they have to set it up so it's not encouraging you to spam over and over and over and over again, especially for people who don't like Mythic Plus, like the raiders, the PvPers who don't want it's a very hard fine balance to make it impactful enough without being enough. Make it impactful enough without it being necessary for people who don't like that content to have to do and have to grind. But then again, maybe having more people in the Mythic Plus system it's a catch-22. I think Blizzard's got they do need some looks to it, because I do worry that if the way things are, it may decline participation in Mythic Plus without the necessary gear, without some kind of true gear progression there. But we'll see. So all in all, I'm actually hopefully optimistic about this expansion. There are some things that we kind of worry about going forward, like how all these systems really just kind of built on a house of cards, and they're gonna be patching them and pushing them and duct taping them all together for the rest of the expansion, or is the foundation's pretty solid that they can actually build upon them and do something more to develop them. Maybe even they might actually be the. I don't think the way everything is now is going to be how the expansion ends, but we shall see. Time will see. So I'm happy so far. Good job, Blizzard. Peace.